And yo, we're back with the Sports Bag Bros podcast on a Thursday. You know, our last show was on Monday. There was a lot to talk about because of the previous weekend where everything happened. Well, between now, Monday, and today, Thursday, more has happened because it just doesn't stop. And it's a litany of sports in which things have happened. But of course, we're going to talk about what we didn't get a chance to talk about. The women's NCAA tournament. How about that? We're not even talking about the men starting off, but the women. Angel Reese seems to be the story. Caitlin Clark's always nestled in there as well. What's going on with this situation now?
You have two sides of the fence, right? You have people who are empathetic, and you have people who are like, "Come on, you can't be," to quote Emmanuel Acho, "you can't be the big bad wolf and then cry." I don't agree with that. You know, has he ever received a death threat? I don't know, but how would he react if he's gotten death threats for a year, if he's gotten scrutinized unfairly, in my opinion? And I say unfairly because she didn't start really getting a lot of hate until she did the "you can't see me" to Caitlin Clark. Yeah. But when Caitlin Clark was doing it, nobody had an issue with it. So that's my issue with people who have issues with Angel Reese. Keep that same energy. If it's cool for Caitlin Clark, it's cool for Angel Reese.
Now, yeah, but it's not like Caitlin Clark hasn't been getting hate too for seemingly no reason at all.
And we've talked about that. But I'm just saying, for that specific instance, when LSU beat Iowa, they were viewed as the bad guys. They beat up on poor little Iowa. But I don't think it was warranted. Like I just said, you know, she was doing the thing on the ring. How many players, how many athletes, entertainers, you know, haven't done something like that and haven't been scrutinized the way Angel Reese has?
What people made that an issue because between the two players, there seems to have not been an issue. It's not like one goes after the other or the other goes after this one. It's people on the outside. They're the ones making
that's the main thing.
Anything.
If Caitlin Clark wasn't bothered by it, why should anybody else be bothered by it?
Yeah,
and it's like the media tries to divide them, just like the media tries to divide red and blue people, red and blue states, you know, Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah, that's just what it is. And we just happen to be in the perfect storm of a election season as well. So you got an election season going on, then you have a season going on, and we see how society is today, especially when it comes to race relations. Things seem to fall down and fall all around right now. But in terms of her saying what she was saying, now the death threats, I don't know. I mean, this day and age, because people can get after one another, death threats should be taken seriously, even if it's something that someone may even joke about, even though they shouldn't joke about that kind of thing. But I need to see something like that because there have been too many instances of people crying wolf over something so serious, and then there's much ado about nothing but attention or just trying to deflect. And then she talks about being sexualized. That's when I had an issue with that. You're going to go on stage or you're going to go on the podium and you're going to cry about your experiences and being sexualized. All of the things you said, I can probably get with. The death threats shouldn't happen. There shouldn't be a place for it. There is no place for it. But when you talk about being sexualized, and then you look at what she's done by taking her shoot with the Sports Illustrated cover and wearing the bikini, we know what that's all about. It's all about sexualizing one another or sexualizing in that capacity. There have been people on the Sports Illustrated cover who had nothing to do with sports, but they were on the cover. So we already know what that is. So in that way, she sexualized herself, and then she made an issue out of it as if people just came out of nowhere, just calling out like that. She talks about how much she loves her body, and she should. She works hard to get the body she has, but she also talks about how she likes to get in bikinis and going by the Sports Illustrated cover, about 3/4 nude in the bikini. You're not expecting people to say something?
That's true. And then you throw in the fact that it appears that she wears makeup and she's got the eyelashes and she's very conscious. Yeah, she's very conscious of the look she's portraying.
Exactly. The look she's portraying, and it's a good look for the people who are interested in the look she has. And it seems like there are a lot of people doing that. But when she uses that as one of the reasons why she's, I guess, being oppressed in this way, you know, that's disingenuous at best. But then let's talk about
But
what happened.
it could be the extent that she was sexualized too. You know, like you can appreciate beauty, but then you can cross the line also. There's a lot of creepy motherfuckers out there.
There's true. There's people sexualizing it, but I wonder which way she's talking about, because did it all culminate and this is when she had to talk about it because they lost the game? She's on the podium, she's emotional, and now it's the time to talk about it? Or did this happen since last year when you had all this time to talk about it, speak on it, or say something? Nothing was ever said until the game was lost, and all of this, all these things that happened during the season just came to a head.
Well, I think if you look at the big picture, they had just lost. She's upset. Her season's over. She has to decide if she's going pro. Is that her last game? She's at the podium. She's already emotional. And then they asked the question, and she appeared to answer it honestly.
But with the Me Too movement and what it's been for women over the past several years, you would think as soon as the first thing happens that these people, especially with the platform they've had, this is the first time I can remember, maybe the first time period, that female basketball has gotten the interest it's gotten so far, leading into the WNBA, probably doing the same thing. So you would think that she would come out with something like this sooner rather than, it seems like, and for the people who are against her, this is the opportunistic time for her to do it because she lost the game, it's emotional, and you're going to have your dividing lines going against it. The people who are for her are going to coddle her, and the people who aren't for her aren't going to coddle her. They're going to say that it's a ruse. They're going to say that, well, like Archo said. Now, by the way,
let's keep in mind too, she's what, 21 years old, 22, if that. Think back to when you were 21. You're not mentally all there quite yet, right?
Right now,
you're not. The decisions you make now, probably most of them are not the same you're going to make when you're 20, 21, 22.
And that's absolutely true. But I'm thinking now with the advancements that have been made with social media alone. Now, if we were 22 now and we had social media, it would be a completely different world for us just as well. And for her to function in this world we have with social media and her being able to get her message out, you don't have to wait now for a newspaper or any news outlet to put your side of the story out there. You have your own Instagram or other social media medium or platform to let them know immediately what's going on. During halftime, if she wants to say something, she can do it if it's allowed. So you would think that if this has happened throughout the season, that at some point she would have led on to, things are happening out there, but I'm going to fight through it. And then everything after it doesn't work out the way you want, getting caught up in all the emotion. Now it's time to start laying it all out. I've dealt with this. I've dealt with that. I can't take the pressure. All the pressure is overwhelming. That's why you're crying. Now, the part about not being around for the national anthem, I thought that was nonsense, because out of all the games you've had all season long, apparently you haven't missed any national anthems. But for this game, you missed a national anthem. And, well, it goes back to all of these other things that have happened with people taking knees and disrespecting the anthem, allegedly disrespect. Well, I'm not going to say allegedly, but by virtue of doing that, disrespecting the flag. There are people who like that, people who don't like that, but I think there are more people who don't like that it happened.
When people stop using American flag napkins and cups and swim shorts, and then they can talk about other people disrespecting the flag. Until then, they just need to STFU.
And that's true. And that's, that's probably true in a sense. But when
it's 100% true. There's a flag code. I can grab my dad's flag right here. It's folded properly. It's stored properly, the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. But I'm saying in terms of somebody wearing the flag, or if someone's sitting on the flag or a flag draped chair and they happen to sit on it, kind of disrespect if you want to take it that way. But right here, when there's an acknowledgement that everyone does pretty much ceremonially after, before every game, almost in this country with every professional sport or even collegiate sport, you would think that just to respect, what you're doing. It's deliberate when you decide not to do it. There's going to be backlash, but LSU has kind of decorated themselves as the villain this year, going by their coach on down. And I think that some of the players that might have been on that team, well, hey, let's call it what it is. Non-black players probably didn't want to go along with the plan, but they were part of it, and they were kind of forced to kind of be a part of the plan. And I think that's why Haley Van Lith decided to enter the transfer portal. She came from Louisville. She played just this season here with LSU. Her role was diminished, and now she's leaving in the transfer portal. I think it has a lot to do with the shenanigans and things that have happened with this team.
You could be right, but I'm not going to speculate on things I don't know. You know, I wasn't in the locker room. I don't know if there were pressure to do it, not do it, or if they went along with it.
I'm not going to say pressure, but
I'm not going to comment.
Yeah, you know what? They don't have to be. Someone in the locker room doesn't have to tell them what's going on. But when you see everyone else doing it and everybody else kind of like going into the locker room, you have to go in there too. Just like there were times when people took a knee and they kind of looked around. Well, they took a knee too, because they didn't want to be the odd person out at that sensitive time. And, you know, especially, look, it seems like a bad situation right now because almost every player who happens to be a white player has to walk on eggshells because of things that's been going on. Anytime there's something racial going on, it's the white people who have to hide. It's no longer the black folks who have to hide about it.
That's true.
And that's what's going on right now. But, you know, as far as LSU and being out, and now, well, she's going to the pros now. She's going to go to the WNBA. And it's going to be her and Caitlin Clark. It's going to be kind of like Magic and Bird when they came out of college. I think it could be that kind of a mix with those Caitlin Clark coming into the WNBA as well. But when it comes down to endorsements, you know the endorsements are going to go to both. But as soon as that one person gets the edge in the endorsements in terms of money or gets more attention because of money, then you know there's going to be an even bigger issue, another argument for the day. The reason why they're getting that endorsement is because of X. And we know what X is, the X factor, which happens to be today in society, underlined.
Well, it looks like Caitlin's going to be the poster girl for the WNBA. And it's not because she's white. It's because she can play her ass off. That's what it's about. You can't just say, "Oh, she's a great shooter." You can't say, "Oh, she's a great passer." She's a combination of everything, and that's what makes her a great player. She sees the floor incredibly. You know, she shoots from 40 feet. Yeah, I could argue she shoots better right now than Steph Curry's shooting better.
Well, you know what? Maybe with that extra 9 inches, might too.
9 for 20. But she wasn't in that game with the extra 9.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kind of throwing that in there because they screwed up.
But I mean, 9 for 20 from threes, and most of them are from 30 feet or if not further.
Yeah, he's hoving and it's going in.
But 15 assists to go with it. And that's why, you know, she's getting all this attention, and it's not just from the media. We talked about it before. She's a magnet. She has little girls, even little boys, you know, begging her for her autograph.
People coming from Canada to watch her play.
Bringing jerseys to games. Please sign this. You know, so she's going to be the poster girl. She's going to get all the endorsements so long as she performs at the next level. And with her talent, I don't see how she can't. Even if she has a poor shooting night, she can still drop 12 dimes.
Oh, yeah, exactly. She's one of those players that as long as she's on the court, it's not necessarily about the points, but how she just plays the game and get the ball to other players, the spacing and all of those things that are intricate in basketball outside of just scoring, making her team better because she's on the floor. But we've also spoken about how it's all come down to everything outside of basketball when it comes down to her in particular. We talked about that USA Today article, which specifically says that the WNBA or women's basketball has to have a black face. And you're saying this in light of knowing who Caitlin Clark is, who she is, and knowing she's going to be the one coming into the WNBA with the most press and most expectations and everything else that comes with being a global superstar.
I just think it's pretty ridiculous because here you go, Molly Qerim, F.U.
There you go. I was waiting to cue it up.
First it was Cheryl Swoops. Oh, she's not breaking the record in the same amount of games. That was bogus.
And it was less.
Yeah. And everyone's coming out, taking a shot. This person taking a shot. This person taking a shot at her. This person taking a shot at her. You mentioned the USA Today article. Then they're going to have the rematch with LSU. And people are like, well, if she doesn't beat LSU, she's not in the GOAT conversation. She got to win the chip. She's got to do this. She's got to do that. She beats LSU. She dominates LSU. Drops 40 and 15. and the game's not even in question going into the fourth quarter. And now they're saying, Molly Kerm says, well, if Paige Beckers didn't get hurt,
for the last two seasons,
we may never have even heard of Caitlin Clark.
Get out of there.
Are you fucking crazy? I mean, not to disparage Paige at all, but unless she's going neck and neck for the scoring record, of course we're going to hear of Caitlin Clark. How could you say something so ridiculous?
Well, because
it's
she's
like they keep putting these imaginary hurdles, and she jumps them, and then let's put up another one. Let's put up another one. Man, that's just appreciate her, man. She's in the fucking Final Four.
Yep, and that's what it's going to be. Every hater, a newer hater, is always going to come up with something at a different angle, whether it's race and you're making it very well known, or if you're trying to be subtle but still know, or you have something like her, Kiram, saying what she's saying, and she's a Yukon alum. And, you know, Yukon's had great players over the past, 20 years, more than that. You know, Gino Ariema has had some of the best female teams of all time, winning streaks and all. But none of his players, and he had some great ones, including Diana Taurasi, who was his excellent point guard. She didn't get the job done the way that Caitlin has gotten it done. She didn't get the notoriety, and it had nothing to do with social media. We're talking about going on the court and doing it, not having people putting highlights together and saying this has the best highlight reel. She's going out playing games from beginning to end, and she's looking better than anyone who has ever done it to this point. Now, of course, she's in the wings, and she's waiting. Different. Yeah, and she's different. They don't want to accept that. We already have people now talking about, Juju has enough time to break the record. Bro, but if the hoopla doesn't come along with Juju doing it, then you're going to have another narrative talking about the reason why the hoopla is not there for her if she's in the area of doing it. You still have a lot of things to worry about. Playing the games, winning the games, and staying healthy.
So speaking of Juju, props to her. She's had a great freshman season. She's a great player. You know, we were doing the show the other day and the game had started. We ended. I went to watch the game. My son comes into the room. He's like, "You're watching ladies basketball?" I said, it's Caitlin Clark. He's like, "Oh." And then she shot from like 35. He's like, "Wow." He's like, "I heard about her, but I never watched her." Man, he ended up watching for like the next 10 minutes. He's like, "I see why you're watching." Then he went off and did his thing, whatever. And the next game started, and I tried to watch USC versus Yukon. I really did. But there was no wow factor.
There isn't.
I lost interest. I tried. I lasted till midway to the second quarter. I was like, I was bored watching it. I was like, man, I thought I had turned the corner for women's basketball, but maybe there's no corner to turn. There was just no wow factor for me.
And this is so far a once-in-a-lifetime personality and talent when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because it's the magnetism and her overall game and the hoopla that she's getting, deservedly so. This is over the long term. This is a lifetime achievement award of what she's been doing. I mean, this has been year after year after year. People want to throw the COVID year in there. They want to just try to do anything to dispel what she's doing and how she's done it, but she's still going out there without COVID, without any bubble or whatever other reason why you might want to disqualify what she's done. And she's dominating every time out against good teams, because there are few good teams in women's basketball against the so-called very good teams. She's doing the same thing against, because she's one of the very good teams and her team is very good because of her. Without her, Iowa isn't there. It's as simple as that. There's been several times where she's gotten her double digits, 30, close to 40 points, and the next closest scorer is probably just hitting double digits, 8, 9, maybe 10 points, and they've been winning because of it. But
if you watch that game, you know she could have had probably 20 plus assists. They missed layups. They got shots blocked. Credit to LSU. You know, Angel Reese and Flaugier, you know, they came in block shots. But those are dimes where people are getting the easy looks at the basket, and they missed at least 4 layups. So that's 19 right there.
See, and that's what I'm talking about. And this is women's basketball. You see a lot of that. In fact, you see a lot of that in the WNBA as well. Missed opportunities on fast breaks, wide open shots just completely missed, layups completely missed by themselves. I mean, that's what happens in women's basketball. But the bottom line is, man, people need to appreciate Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese as they were. It just happens to be this. I don't even know if you call her a generational player. This is the best player in college basketball history. I'm still looking at Cheryl Miller, but
universal player, a universal player, maybe.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, my final thought on this is just keep the same energy, man. No matter who you are, keep the same energy. If two players do the same thing and it only bothers you for if one player does it, you have a problem.
Oh yeah, well, that's everyone's problem now because everything always happens to turn around and go back to race. It rarely goes back to what's being done on the court, or if it was a field or whatever it was, it's always going to come back to race. And that's the narrative we have to deal with more now, probably than any other time, when I don't believe it's even necessary. You're talking basketball. You're not talking about something that's changing the world. It's going to change the world of women's basketball, but be glad someone's even watching it. Look at the overall numbers. I think they averaged 1.4 million. That's hella fine for them. Now, of course, there's been people out there saying it's even better than men's basketball in terms of the viewership, which isn't true because on Sunday alone, men's basketball had over 14, 15 million. So that's a big difference. But for what women's basketball has been doing on the collegiate level, the numbers have gone up, skyrocketed based on what Caitlin Clark has brought to the table. Angel Reese probably has something to do with it as well, but we know who the headliner is, and there's nothing you can do about it.
That's true, and I'll be watching Iowa versus Yukon Friday night.
Yo, absolutely.
But I'm more excited about Saturday night.
Oh, yeah, well, because your boys are in there. North Carolina State is in there. You have every right to be happy about that. And I'm telling you what, look, even though college basketball isn't what it once was because of the way things have changed, the landscape of college basketball with the best players no longer going to college anyway, going to other outlets outside the country or even in the country, but just entities in which they can kind of prepare better for the pros with. You still got a pretty good basketball Final Four here with North Carolina State being the lowest seeded team to ever get into the tournament or to get to the Final Four at 11. And there's a lot going on between Burns and Edey. How's that going to work out?
Well, I'll just repeat myself. NC State doesn't have a lot of size.
No, they don't.
It's going to be a tough matchup. Plus, DJ Burns, he needs time on the bench. He's not the most he doesn't have the best endurance. Hopefully, Diarra can be a factor, but he's observing Ramadan, and so
he's going weak.
He's weak. I wish they were playing the later game. Then he could have a banana probably the second half, or get some fluids in him. But you could see on Sunday he didn't have a very good game. Well, he was in foul trouble, but I don't know what it's like. But I remember Akeem going through Ramadan in the finals, or maybe close to playoff time or whatever. And they talked about how he had lost weight and, he had to wake up early to eat something and had to wait till sundown. So hopefully DR can be a factor. Hopefully, they give him a lot of fluids late Friday night, early Saturday morning, because they're going to need a big effort from everybody.
Yeah, man. And because Purdue finally is playing the way they should have been playing all year long, or at least sometimes they show flashes of playing like that, being dominant when they had to. Zach Edey in particular, man, dropping 40 points no matter when you're doing it. If it's in the tournament, especially this deep into the tournament, it means you've been balling. And this guy's been balling. I mean, he hasn't shown the athleticism because that's not his game anyway. But he's been shown the reliable shot, and he's been shown that he has good hands, which I had a problem with a little earlier this season when I saw him lose the ball a few times. He has the good hands.
He brings the ball down sometimes and it gets slapped away. That's his issue. He needs to keep it up over his head.
Yeah, because if you're going to go and start cutting nets without a freaking ladder, man, that means you can hold the ball over your head too, and they won't be able to get it. Come on, the same thing there. Same rule applies, man. But, I mean, they're underdogs for a reason, North Carolina State. They're an 11th seed for a reason. They won the ACC. Without winning the ACC, they probably not in the tournament. They may just make the NIT, but that's what would have happened. What did happen is they're now in the Final Four, the lowest seeded team to go into the Final Four. And they're at the right time, got hot at the right time. So you have two teams that got hot at the right time One is doing what they're supposed to have been doing. One is completely overachieving. Is this going to be like Georgetown Villanova, even though it's not a final?
Yeah, but if you watch that Purdue-Tennessee game, second half, it was all Edey. He wasn't getting help from hardly anybody.
Yeah, about to say, because Tennessee couldn't even win that game.
Smith contributed in the first half. Lawyer was trying. He had contributed in the first half, but Lawyer was trying, but he was missing. Smith looked scared to shoot. Jones couldn't shoot. He was shooting air balls. Gillis was shooting bricks. It was basically all Edey. And that's why I said, hopefully the refs don't send him to the line 20, 25 times, because I think he took like 22 free throws against Tennessee.
Wow.
Without all of those free throws, connecting the boys take them down. So that's, as you were talking, I started to get more confidence. I'm like, NC State's been playing really tough D.
Yeah,
they bottled up their guards. They forced them into bad shots, get turnovers, and Purdue doesn't shoot well from the outside. NC State's gonna beat them.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, that would be March Madness all over again. Now, would the nation love it? I know they love a Cinderella story, but do they really love a Cinderella that makes it to the final game? And what happens if it's Alabama instead of Yukon? What about the ratings with that?
They're not the normal Cinderella, though. They're from the ACC.
Yeah, they're from the ACC, but that seeding still makes it a real Cinderella story. Now, the normal Cinderella, you would think like George Mason, a team like that from years ago. Yeah, coming from a mid-major and getting that deep into the tournament. But yeah, they are from the ACC, and the ACC, bro, they did show up during the tournament. You know, after all season long, you really couldn't pick a conference to say this is going to be the dominant conference, because it just everybody seemed just average this year. But then the ACC, when the tournament came, that's typically like bowl season in college football, where you look at the conference that wins the bowls, you say, okay, that might have been the most dominant conference this year. You know, but North Carolina State has every chance to win this game if they continue. Defense travels, and so they should be able to keep it interesting. I mean, they're not expected to, but they weren't expected to get this damn far.
I got the formula. Pick and roll with Middlebrooks. Pick and roll Zeddy to death. Pick and roll.
He is stiff. He can't get there. He just can't do anything.
Pick and roll his ass to death. Make him go zone. Then you just shoot him out the gym.
Yeah, so we can get to see Middlebrooks' uncle again. Danny Cannell. Come on, bro. Come on. And then now, I don't know if you heard the news about Yukon getting to Arizona late, a delay in the plane. All the other teams get there on time. They're delayed. Will that have anything to do with them being in sync? Or I don't think so, because they're a dominant team and they're playing Alabama, who's good, but surprisingly still in the Final Four, for the first time in their history. Yeah. But man, I this is just something to throw out there, a storyline to add to it, because
if they had gotten late, like Friday night late, then I could say maybe, but no, I don't believe. If Alabama beats them, maybe that'd be a crutch they can lean on, but I wouldn't be with that. I wouldn't go along with that. They just get beat, but it's going to take a hell of an effort from Alabama to beat them, though.
When you look at the whole story, because the storylines come out and they're looking for reasons to give Alabama a chance, and even though it doesn't seem likely, they still want to make it seem as this should be more competitive than it should be. They talk about Yukon getting there late, and then they talked about how they haven't traveled at all. As the number one overall seed, they were close to home. They went to Boston, they took a bus. They went to New York, they took a bus for the Big East tournament. You know what I mean? They hadn't gotten in the plane for a long time. And now this is the first time in weeks they're taking an airplane. And then there's issues with the airplane. You know what I mean? The NCAA had to get in touch.
They got a couple of days to get over it, though.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, you know what? It's not extreme jet lag, just going a couple of time zones over. And in fact, I think they said mountain time. So I thought Arizona, I guess parts of Arizona on Pacific time. I thought the entire state was. But yeah, they said something about mountain time. So I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know. I got to check the geography on this again. But still, they have the better overall team. And Hurley made it an issue. He's the one who brought it up, saying what had happened. No one really knew until he brought it up. And so I don't know. Maybe it's something that he wants to throw out there to make people think that things should be bad so they don't prepare as well. BS. You know what team you're going to get. You better prepare.
If he's anything like his brother and Coach K, he's just a whiner.
No, well, you know what? This seems to be something real, though. If you do have a delay when you're supposed to be there when everyone else gets there, and you're a day late, and you're coming from the East Coast to the West Coast. I mean, North Carolina State did too, but or at least to the Pacific time zone or Mountain West time zone, the Mountain time zone. I don't know, but I think it shouldn't have anything to do. These kids here, most of them, they all play AAU. They
shouldn't have
travel.
any bearing on the game.
It shouldn't have any bearing on anything. But it's just something to throw a story out there because, just in case something did happen, that little monkey wrench. Well, our travel plans, that could have disrupted the players in the preparation, and everyone else got there on time. Just anything to make a story. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that game too. But you got it on Saturday. Then we're gonna have the final on Monday.
Monday night.
The game gonna be on Friday. So you got a lot of great basketball going on. And, we're talking college basketball right now. We can talk a little bit about the NBA, but we also need to talk about the NFL, which doesn't seem to go away. And Stefon Diggs going down to Houston. Now the newest toy of C.J. Stroud, another opportunity for him to have a receiver that makes a lot of plays, but also causes a lot of freaking problems in the locker room. You don't need that for a young quarterback.
So that was my initial thought. My very first thought was, man, I hope he doesn't stunt C.J. Stroud's development because C.J. Stroud's on a nice trajectory, had an incredible rookie season. Last thing he needs is a diva causing problems in the locker room.
Exactly. And, man, come on. Our stories on Stefon Diggs went back to OTAs last year, not even training camp. We're talking OTAs. We're talking about this guy doing the things he's done. And then going into training camp, well, shutting up for a little while, but then starting back up right before the season. And then during the season, a little bit of here, a little bit there, which is leading or led to him getting traded. Now he goes down to Houston. Houston, well, you know what? I saw someone who's a huge Jags fan. They have their Twitter account, and they were upset about how the Jaguars don't take the chances to get players like that. And they now said that Houston now should be the leader in the clubhouse to lead the AFC South for the near future, which could be true. But it all depends on what happens with the Jaguars in terms of Trevor Lawrence developing instead of taking that step back or several steps back he did last season. And everybody else in the offense coming together. Travis Etienne going over 4 yards a carry instead of going backwards like he did last season. But anyways.
Well, I think the Texans, they could rule that division anyway. If you think about it, they didn't start out really hot. C.J. Stroud was playing well, but they weren't winning games. Then they started winning games. Yeah. And then they won the division.
And then meaningful games inside the playoffs.
They went out on a high. So I expect them to come out next year from week 1.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because now they are the hunted. Hey, they won the AFC South. They should be the hunted. You have this young quarterback going into his second year. Common sense says he should only get better, but history says that there should be somewhat of a sophomore jinx somewhat. But if he skips that, there's a problem in the AFC South in terms of other people having opportunities to at least win the division. You may get in there as a wild card if you keep it close and stay number 2. But yeah, right now I think they should be the team expected to win the AFC South next season.
Yeah, I hope Stefon Diggs goes in with a changed attitude, a more positive attitude, and yeah, I'm a C.J. Stroud fan.
Yeah, bro. After what I thought going into the season and what we began to see of him, bro, you gotta like the guy. You gotta get on the bandwagon now while the wheel's still crooked. And now it's straight out.
Again, last thing he needs is a diva in the locker room causing problems, pouting and whatnot. But hopefully it's not an issue of Stefon Diggs needed 10 catches every week, needing 2 touchdowns every week. Because if C.J. Stroud could get it done without Stefon Diggs, I'm sure he's not going to just focus on Stefon Diggs.
And that's
someone else is open, they're going to get the ball.
Well, he did that last season. He spread the ball around last season. So he didn't just rely on one receiver or even the running back out of the backfield. If you were open, you were a candidate to get a reception. That was it. And with Stefon Diggs, by the way, will be a free agent in 2025. So maybe he needs to show out and shut up. You know what I mean? Whether he's going to get extended by Houston or whether he wants somebody else to pick him up, maybe even San Francisco, maybe even Kansas City. He might want to do that. You better be in your best behavior, try to get that last bag most likely for his career.
That's true. Yeah, I forgot that he's a free agent after next year.
Yeah, that's
So
why.
yeah, he probably will be on his best behavior because he's gonna want that bag.
Yeah, and you know what? It's a good idea to be on your best behavior with a quarterback that knows how to get the ball to players. And if you're a star player, you know what? If he decides to lean on you more than the other receivers, because he didn't have this one particular receiver he leaned on, he just went to anybody who was open. That's how he got his numbers. You couldn't look in the film room and say, okay, he's always got his eyes keyed on a particular player.
Yeah.
He just went out there and whatever came to his freaking mind, he just threw it there. And most times it was correct. So, yeah, to have a superstar player out there, a star player, I don't know about superstar just yet, but a star player, get it to him. So, yeah, I'm just hoping. That was my first thought. Do not screw up CJ freaking Stroud's career. You can destroy a young quarterback with your nonsense, man. I just hope he doesn't do it.
Right.
He gave me T.O. vibes when it came down to that, but T.O. never had to deal with a rookie, but this guy will have to deal with a rookie or a year after being a rookie. Yeah, but, you know.
We'll have to see how Josh Allen responds. But he won't have the Madden curse to deal with. I'm sure he's not going to be on the cover again.
But you know what?
Hopefully they don't put CJ Stroud on the cover.
Yeah, right. That'll be it for that, man. But you know what? But they put, as far as oh man, I forgot. I almost lost my train of thought. But I'm about to say damn. Oh, as far as Josh Allen goes, you know what? Did he really want Stefon Diggs out there other than him being a playmaker? Did he really? I think they have to put on their best behavior to act like they got along. You know what I mean? I think, you know, I don't think he was upset with Stefon Diggs leaving after the nonsense Stefon Diggs kind of tried to get him into last year. You know what I mean? Just come on, man. This guy was just a cancer throughout the entire season. Just, you know, and you try to make nice with him. It's like the quarterback had to make nice to you to placate you. Come on,
yeah,
man.
I saw the Bills GM did an interview and they asked him, did he consult Josh Allen before or after the trade? He said, no, not after, but I did reach out to him before the trade. And so I think it's easy to surmise that Allen didn't say, no, don't trade him.
Don't trade him.
That Allen didn't say, hey, no, don't trade him.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's he's on board. Like, yeah, get his ass out of here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking, man, because you know, it started early on before camp, how he seemed like he tried to deliberately sabotage the locker room. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of like quieted up for a little while and quieted down. And then he started kind of giving you a little bit of leg and pulling it back. And then he went back full blast again. And, you know, wondering why I don't have a say in the offense. Bro, come on now, man. You know, I know there are receivers who get their say in the offense, man, but come on, you're making that the real issue of what's going on. And the team is winning. They just haven't won a Super Bowl. That's it.
I've never heard of a wide receiver being the one to call plays.
Well, they want to. I guess they want to have something. Go to the offensive coordinator and let the offensive coordinator know how he could best be served in that offense. Yeah, the quarterback is there, but I want you to know how to use me better. I guess that's the ego he has going into this. It's lame, but that's what they do. The egos are getting that big, and you pay them to have even bigger egos, and here we go.
Josh Allen probably took a huge deep breath, like a sigh of relief when he heard.
And I don't blame him. I don't blame him, man. So good for him. And now we see. Once again, I hope he doesn't screw up CJ Stroud's career with the nonsense that he brings to the table. Mm-hmm. And so we'll put a little.
We might have to take a trip down to Houston, be like those super fans, the ones who.
You know what? I'm down.
The ones who kidnapped Damian Wayans in the basketball movie.
What's the name of that movie?
I don't remember. I never watched it.
I know what you're talking about it. But yo, bro, I'm down. Go out to Houston. I haven't been to Houston in a long time, man.
Yo, before you got here, CJ Stroud was the man. Now you're fucking ruining him.
Yeah, exactly, man. And I hope that doesn't happen. But shoot, in this ego-driven league, you just don't, you know, I don't know, especially a player that's coming into the twilight of his career. He's no longer his prime player. In fact, I saw an article that was talking about how Stefon Diggs was a declining asset anyway. You know what? And there's a lot of truth to it. You know what I mean? So in that 2025, so he better do something now, because I still don't think he's going to get market value when that 2025 season comes and the money has to be paid out. I don't think he's going to be one of the the highest paid wide receiver, because he's not at that point of his career anymore. He's going to get a nice, solid contract for a player his age with his production. Hopefully it's consistent. It's consistent enough to do something with it in Houston, you know, but I don't think he's going to be one of those elite receivers anymore. You know, the game has passed him by in terms of him just getting older.
That remains to be seen. We'll see. If he goes out there, gets 100 catches and 15 touchdowns, he's going to get a bag. Nice
bag. But I mean, you know, because this day, these guys are so ego-driven. They want the biggest bag. Even at their old age, they want to have something that says the highest paid receiver in NFL history. He's not that guy.
No.
I mean, even at his best, I still don't think he would have been that guy because there's other receivers who could say and do the same.
No, he'd have to get 150 catches with 25 touchdowns.
For real, they just got to go back to the run and shoot dealing with him. About that, they're in Houston. Hell, man, they had that June Jones run and shoot down there before. But anyways, yeah, man. So the NFL draft coming up as well in a couple of weeks now, about 3 weeks. The draft is going to be here as well. So this is April already. So we got a lot going on. So now it leads us to the NBA. What's going on in the NBA? Well, Randle's out for the year. He's taking season-ending surgery. Julius Randle from the Knicks, out for 5 months. That means he may be back in about September. So that's right before preseason, during training camp. But, man, he's been out since January. You know, the team was playing well with him. And I think a couple of years ago, I was like, you know what? If they brought in another star on his team or even 2 stars, he would be the third option. Well, you know what? Jalen Brunson came. He was the second option, and the team played very well with him, 12-2 while he was there in January. And now still winning some, but losing some too without him. And the defense was actually the best defense in the NBA while he was there in January, at least.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for the Knicks, you know, if they were going to crash the party, so to speak.
Yeah,
I think they needed a healthy Randle.
Oh, absolutely.
Without him, they're probably looking at an early exit.
And, well, you know, I've been getting early exits since 73. So, hey, what do you want? What do you want? I mean, go ahead. So, early exit meaning not a championship.
Yeah, a couple of years. They went to the finals.
Yeah, they went to the finals against San Antonio in that asterisk season. And then, of course, against Houston when I was my notions was dispelled when I was thinking all these times, like, man, Patrick Ewing, man, the best shooting big man in basketball until I saw Hakeem's nonsense. Hey, never mind. I think I saw the best tape. The best.
You know, the thing about Patrick Ewing, man, you think about him at Georgetown. He was scary at Georgetown.
He was a defensive juggernaut in Georgetown.
Yeah, like
offense in the NBA.
And then in the NBA, he just didn't have that same persona. I don't know what happened.
That same defense, exactly. They brought him in for that defense and ended up being an offensive player. But I still expected him to have some defense, and he never showed that dominant defense that you thought that everybody thought he was going to bring when he came. You know, I would have settled for him to just get like 17 points, but a whole bunch of damn rebounds, some blocks. I could have dealt with that.
Yeah, like he was a taller Ben Wallace at his best.
Oh no!
Like, you know, Ben Wallace just.
Why are you saying that,
man? I'm saying because Ben Wallace was what 6'9", 6'10", but blocked 4 shots a game, get 14 rebounds, and just terrorize everybody. That was Patrick Ewing at Georgetown.
Well, oh yeah, Georgetown. I think you said in the NBA. I was like, oh, bro, no. Yeah, you're right. That's what he was.
I'm just speaking defensively, just defensively.
Oh, he completely dominated in defense in the NBA in college. Yeah, and that's what I thought he was going to bring to the game. But when he started getting his offense, people got into that. I remember the Ewing shoes they had. Adidas put those Ewing shoes out there. And I was like, man, Ewing was the man. But then he didn't get back to that defensive way. In fact, he never was at that defensive level he was in college and what was expected as a pro. But he did give the offense, but once again, never got the job done. He had decent teams around him.
He missed that finger roll.
About to say that too. And then he had decent players around him now. Don't completely blame John Starks for what happened in Houston against Houston. But
yeah, 0 for 15 though, man. He bears a lot of responsibility. Huh?
Was that 0 for 11? And
I thought it was 15 in Game 7. I thought it was 0 for 15.
11. Either way, it didn't go in.
Either way, 0 for double-digit shots.
0 for 15. It didn't go in, and the Knicks didn't win. But Patrick Ewing's still my dude, man. My top 2 players of all time, or for me at least, Patrick Ewing and AI. That's it. Those are my 2 dogs right there. I live and die by them. So, but yeah, the NBA right now, man, you know, the Celtics have clinched the best record for the season. So, you know, they're expected to do some huge things, but going by with the way the West has been playing, there are no guarantees in the East winning a championship this year.
Right. And I would say getting home court advantage throughout the playoffs is huge for them, but they lost a couple years ago
I'm about
to
to say, man,
Golden State with
home
home
game.
court advantage. So, or no, they didn't have home court advantage, did they?
No, well, the home games they had, they weren't winning them.
No, they lost at home. But I'm just saying, no, I misspoke. Golden State had home court advantage. Never mind. Maybe it bodes well for them to have home court advantage.
How about, have you kept up with any bit of baseball at all since baseball had just started?
No. The only thing I saw is Garrett Crochet for the White Sox had another dominant performance in his second start.
Yeah.
Only his second time starting in the big leagues. Big leagues shut down the Atlanta Braves offense.
Bro, the Braves.
So I was like, easy, kid. You're gonna put yourself on the trading block. White Sox don't fuck around, man.
Get you the hell out of here.
Right.
Bro, like, bad news when your damn fans are thinking like that.
I don't know if you want to go. I don't know if you want to go 7 strong with 1 run, 9 strikeouts, whatever it was. You might want to go 6 with giving up 2. Hey, don't look too good. You find yourself in a new uniform before you know it.
You've been playing too well. They want you to do it for another team, not this team. Go play well somewhere else.
Man, I gotta find a new team.
I know you're gonna stick with those White Sox, man. That's your team. You gotta roll with those boys, even when the ships are burning. But I tell you, man, I'm surprised though that these managers this year are allowing their pitchers to pitch a little deeper. I mean, the Astros just had a no-hitter already, and 9 innings were pitched. I mean, typically early in the season, you let them pitch 5 innings, 5 innings, 4 innings, maybe 6 and push it because it's a long season. But man, they've been letting the pitchers pitch right now. This early in the season, I was surprised. Even if you have a no-hitter going, managers are still like, all right, man, sit down after like 7.
Yeah, I've seen that before. I think that's more about the pitch count than the innings.
Yeah, that's probably too. Yeah, because if you're dominating, but who was it? Who the one who got it? Was it Framber? I think it was. I can't remember.
Was it one pitcher for the Astros? I thought it was
one pitcher with the entire game, complete game.
Oh, I see, because I saw the headline Astros pitch no hitter, so I thought it was more than one pitcher.
Combined no hitter. Yeah, when I first saw it initially, I was like, wow. But I thought it was a combined no hitter because this early managers aren't let their pitchers. I've seen in the past when guys are getting no hitters and they still take them out 6 innings.
But you're saying it wasn't? It was just one pitcher who pitched all night.
Man, let me go check.
Wow, well, baseball did a bad job because I haven't really seen too much on it. They need to promote that.
Yeah, Astros the Astros did it, man. And right after coming off getting swept by the Yankees, so that's always a good thing. I don't mind that. But the Astros, bro, I mean, and by the way, the Yankees as well, they're 6-1. They lost that one game in Arizona. They came back and won 6-5 the next game.
How's Aaron Judge's toe?
Who?
Aaron Judge.
Well, he just got a home run, so finally he got out of the doldrums, got himself a freaking home run, man. But I tell you, Juan Soto, he's talking about breaking the bank. Bro, calm down a little bit. We know that you got that talent to break the bank, but by the way he's played so far this year, it's easy to say, bro, I need to break the bank. And people can nod and say, yes, because you've been playing like hellified for these first couple of goddamn games. But come on, man,
if he puts up monster numbers and goes off in the playoffs, gets the Yankees to the World Series, they haven't been there in a while, he can say, look, you had Judge, you had Stanton, now you got me, and we're in the World Series. Pay me.
You know what? And that's true. And let me see. I'm trying to find out where they got this doggone no-hitter.
But getting back to the NBA, there's like 5 games left, right?
Damn, April, yeah.
The Rockets, they made a good run, but like a racehorse, they faded at the coming down the stretch.
Blanco, 9 innings, 7 freaking strikeouts, 2 walks. That's it.
Oh wow.
Well, yeah, man, 9 freaking innings. They let them go to complete game, and they hardly talked about it was a complete game.
Yes, but I was saying, the Rockets were coming up the rear, hot and fast on the Warriors, but then they lost a couple games. The Warriors got a 3-game lead. I think they're safe. The play is going to be interesting. Lakers, I think they won 5 out of 6, but come on now, one game was the Wizards. Another game was the Bucks. The Bucks are 15-13 since they hired Doc Rivers. I don't know if that was a good move or not.
Fire Doc Rivers. They never should have hired him, man. He's supposed to put that defense with him.
They probably should have stuck with their old coach.
For real.
But a healthy LeBron, a healthy AD, gonna be tough to deal with. In the one game, in the one win and go home situation. When you get them into a series, that's when they may run into trouble because you got quick turnaround games, or if the series is extended. Now that it's game 6, they're gonna be a little worn down.
Mm-hmm. And in the East, well, I think that's pretty much set. Miami's kind of playing better now.
And, but Embiid was balling.
Embiid came back injured from injury, man. He came back balling. Completely different team.
He got them to beat OKC. So, but that first round matchup with Boston, it looks like it's going to be them and Philly. Philly will have to win the playing game, but they're the 8th seed.
Yeah,
Boston got to be like, damn, talk about a bad draw. Because if Embiid's back, then
if he's back and playing like that, man, because come on,
then they'll be the best 8th seed ever.
Yeah, that's probably true. I was kind of thinking the same thing in the beginning of the season when Ja came back from all those suspension games, 25 games. You didn't expect him to do much of anything. He's going to be tired, this and that or the other. He came in just killing it. And the team went on the winning streak and everything until, now he got injured and out for the year. But yeah, with Embiid being a bigger guy, wasn't expecting. I thought they were going to be real careful with his time, putting him out there, letting him play, put him down, let him rest a little bit, trying not to get injured again. But he showed up and beat OKC.
There's word Cat will be back for the playoffs. That'll be huge for Minnesota. They need him.
Yeah, the West is gonna.
They need him healthy too, though, not just back.
Yeah, and that's another thing, man. See, I wonder, are these guys completely healthy, or are they chomping at the bit to come back? And the medical staff isn't going to say no if it's not completely serious. If they know you can do something instead of nothing, or they can still put you out there because you want to do it. That's what I'm saying. And playing kind of, but this time of year anyway, I forgot who said it. Was it KG? He said, at this time of year, everybody's freaking hurt anyway.
Banged up.
Yeah, everybody's banged up at some point or another. So it's just a battle of attrition, and whoever has the best freaking roster, who's able to deal with the most pain and have the talent to continue to win, is going to be the one that moves on further. And now Denver's still doing what Denver does, kind of priming themselves for the postseason, and they're just holding serve right now, even though they're not in first place.
Right, they're right there. I don't know if it'll make a difference either, but I mean, Denver, they kind of started out slow, then they got rolling, and they're at the top of the Western Conference. When playoff time comes, they're gonna flip the switch and take their game to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So I don't know if being the 1 or the 2 seed is gonna make a difference for them.
No, I don't think so. They have the team. They have the proven team that did it last year, and they're coming back. They pretty much do it again. It's just going to be a matter of home court for them. And I don't really think it matters at home court because they did lose at home last season during the playoffs, and they went on the road and just beat the hell out of them, whoever the hell they played. So, and they became champs because of it. So, Yeah, man. So, yeah, that'll be it for basketball right now because we had college basketball. We went through the gambit this time. Women's basketball in college, men's college basketball because the Final Four is coming up. And now the NBA, when it's not down the stretch they come, the stretch is here. Now people decided where they want to line up to show up on the playoffs.
But let's digress to the Final Four. Let's make prediction.
Man, see, I didn't want to go chalk, but I've always been a Big East guy, so I'm going to go with Yukon beating Alabama.
It's hard not to. Hard not to.
Are you not? Oh,
it's hard not to go with Yukon.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's hard not to because look at them. They've been just embarrassing people. They've been comparing them to UNLV, even though, come on, man, with the way basketball is right now, this same Yukon team would not have beaten that UNLV team. They probably would have had serious problems. Wouldn't have beaten the freaking Fat Five. Come on. But anyway, and then on the other side, man, you got to go with the team. You got to go with Purdue, man. I know your boys are there. They're playing hard. It just takes defense. Defense does travel, and they're hot right now defensively. But Zach Edey finally is doing what I think he should have been doing anyway throughout the entire season. And if he's the only one that has the hot hand, North Carolina State wins the game. Because I think, you know what, if they just have to worry about him, that's an easy job for them the way they've been playing defense.
Yeah, so my official prediction is NC State will beat them. They will
because
beat
of a
them.
fan's perspective, or because you think
because
storm.
of what I saw against Tennessee, how their guards struggled the second half.
That's true.
And what I've seen out of North Carolina State applying that defensive intensity.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing, and I already mentioned it, the only thing that I'm afraid of is that they just call fouls. He goes to the line 20 times.
Send him to the line. Well, so we guess we're gonna have a championship game on Monday.
I also got Yukon.
Okay, yeah. So Yukon, you think Yukon's gonna get a chance to play against NC State come Monday? I'm thinking it's gonna be Purdue and Yukon, which would still be a damn good game. And
the funny thing is, I think Purdue probably has a better chance to beat Yukon than North Carolina.
I was actually thinking the same thing too, man. I'm relying more on Hurley's coaching than the actual players with a game like that.
Yeah, just because of the Edie factor. But then again, UConn's guards could cause them a lot of problems, just like
it's
Tennessee.
UConn. It's the Big East. There's always guards. They're everywhere. Go into the tri-state area, New York, Connecticut, Jersey.
Yeah.
You go fish and get a guard. You get a point guard with just 2
assists. Brendan Smith's going to have to prove it. This weekend, he's going to have to prove it.
Who's that?
Brendan Smith.
Brendan Smith.
Purdue.
Yeah. You know what? They did have those problems last year when it came down to guard play, and that's why they were losing. But this time, I think they got everything together now. I mean, they're coming down the stretch. They have everything's working for them. I mean, it's like it's perfect for them right now. I mean, everything's everything's flowing through Zach Edey. Isn't that what they wanted?
Yeah.
And this is what they did.
I don't see why they wouldn't. Yeah, but
we'll see. I was wondering what the hell they were looking for with him, but now it's not. He's living up to it.
So that about wraps it up, right?
About wraps it up now, man. So we'll be back on Monday, and by then we'll have our 2 championship teams, and we'll know what's going on with the women's NCAA tournament by then as well. So we'll get a chance to talk about all of that. And
we should probably predict that one too.
No,
I'm rolling with Caitlin Clark until she loses. I'm rolling.
I'm rocking with Caitlin all the time, but but they do have South Carolina there, right?
Yeah. South Carolina versus NC State.
Dawn Staley's team, bro.
Yeah, South Carolina versus NC State.
Yeah, they still steamrolling teams the way they've been doing almost all season. Well, they've had a close call. I think the last game they've had. I'm rolling with Caitlin Clark anyways. I know it just getting people's nerves. You just jumping on her because I'm jumping on her because she's the freaking best player.
Man, we were talking about her like before the season started.
You know what I'm saying? Because she's that good.
Before all these national outlets started talking about her. The sports bag bros were talking about her well.
Oh, absolutely. There's a couple of people we talked about before that, even with the Stefon Diggs nonsense before in OTAs, and then seeing how it came through. I mean, there's been a few players that we've talked about in the beginning. I mean, hell, you was talking about Ellie De La Cruz last year. He started a little slow now. He's a rookie, but come on, man. We got 162 freaking games.
Yeah, it's the first week.
Lewis and Ryan is still not doing well right now, but the Marlins are horrible. Come on, I think they got to be the worst team in the majors right now. Well, the Colorado Rockies, Colorado got to be. Colorado's terrible right now. But anyway, yeah. And I'm not even jumping on the bandwagon of the Yankees. Well, they're 5-0 for the first time since '92. Guess what? '92 we didn't win a damn thing either. The year we went 125 and 50, we didn't go 5-0, but still went 125 and 50, set a record. So, anyways, yep. Our Trav, he's biased, and the sports bag bros will sign off. And until later, deuces.
Enjoy the sports.